Alright. So, hello everyone. I hope everything's alright in life. And I'm here to tell you the story of CERAOTTI'S civilization. According to CERAOTTI'S mythology, this people was born from the sky during a shooting stars night. You have to know that spirituality and even religion was something central in their life. In fact, stardust was giving life to all the forest and river around the South America in 41,014 BC. It was also a people very interesting by the way that mythology was using. Unfortunately, they didn't let us any text, so it's very difficult for us to know exactly what they thought or in what they believed. But the point is that they found another way to make the spirituality alive. They built some wonderful construction, like temple, where we still can appreciate CERAOTTI'S ability for art. Actually, scientists and specialists of CERAOTTI'S civilization can affirm without any doubt that CERAOTTI'S people were literally giving themselves for their gods. And art, like painting or sculpture, was a way for them to get closer to their gods. Indeed, we found some trace of blood in colors used for their paint, and after examination, human bones was used by CERAOTTI'S to build temples' wall. We're still surprised because of their knowledge about construction. That's absolutely miraculous that a civilization from this era would be able to build this kind of masterpiece, and it's a privilege for us to admire it now 43,000 years later. CERAOTTI'S society was looking like an ant-hill. Similarly, everyone was important in a different way. Because of the hard environment of South America, CERAOTTI'S society had to transform their behavior. Gods were nature's incarnation, and CERAOTTI'S civilization were respectful for the chance that God gave them to live in heaven on earth. That's why they only killed animals to eat them, and they were respectful to God for that. However, they were kind of belligerent, and they were fighting among themselves. We have to know that CERAOTTI'S empire is still now the biggest empire of South America history. Therefore, it was very difficult for the king to keep envious people away, even in the bosom of CERAOTTI'S empire. Some people were ambitious and power-hungry. Sometimes, many traitors were trying to take the power or the king's crown, and that was absolutely unbearable. CERAOTTI'S laws were unable to accept betrayal. It could be a threat or, in a saddest way, a shame to all the CERAOTTI'S to imagine that some of them would act against the community. As you can easily imagine, CERAOTTI was a people where respect, honor, loyalty, and pride were more than some words, but definitely a life philosophy. All of their life was a way for them to keep the link with their gods. Spirituality, as I said before, was very important in CERAOTTI'S life. However, when someone turned his back from gods or tradition, he could not stay with the others and pollute their mind anymore. Different tribes were expecting to become CERAOTTI'S civilization capital, because the capital was the place to be in terms of arts, economic, and cultural outreach. That's why they were fighting among themselves. Of course, they were believing in the same gods. They were searching the same glory. They were also rising up with the same values and under the same motto, which was for now and forever. But they spent their lives in a crusade, which the only goal was to come back in the sky with honor and respect from earth. They had to become famous or die trying. CERAOTTI'S civilization was keeping alive soldiers who gave their lives to protect what they loved or try to take what they wanted. There was a special day when CERAOTTI'S tribes stopped fighting themselves. That was a day where the sky was in fire because of a shooting star. Consequently, this night was looking like a very big celebration, where everyone gave a present to fellow men, and together they prayed the sky and their gods to keep them home. They were all believing that they all were a part of the sky, and when they died, they joined their ancestor back. To have an idea of CERAOTTI'S civilization importance, you have to know that in the capital there were 500,000 people where children, men and women were working under the yoke of the king. Anyone who will be under the king's regency should be empire soldier and slave. Otherwise, if someone refused to be with them, he was against them. CERAOTTI'S society was meticulously organized, which giving us a significant advantage. For instance, they understood quickly that nature changed with time, but always come back like perpetual motion. Then, it was also the first people who determined that rules and order are necessary to build something indestructible in a world where nature is hating empty. That's why it was the first civilization where cultural, economic, and organization development were good enough to go from a century to our era. Anyway, we saw how CERAOTTI'S civilization was shining in the past, but now I have to tell you how the Pyramids appeared. Then, one day, a man arrived in a tribe's forest. He tried to talk with them, but his language was incomprehensible. Moreover, he was wearing some unreal clothes, like he was from another world. CERAOTTI'S civilization described him like a very tall man without any hair, and who was able to talk with even if he hadn't a tongue anymore. This strange man changed fundamentally CERAOTTI'S empire in order to make them better, peaceful, and lovely among themselves. This man was saying like a god for CERAOTTI'S, because when he arrived, a giant storm happened, and 22,654 people was missing. This figure is crucial in CERAOTTI'S mind for one reason. In CERAOTTI'S mythology, an old legend said that one day someone will come and he will be so different that nobody will care about him. If the legend happened and came true, then CERAOTTI'S empire will be destroyed forever. CERAOTTI'S king, who called Sira, didn't take the risk, and they accepted him like he always was a part of them. They started a new life without suffering and pain, where wars and fighting will not exist longer. CERAOTTI'S civilization became an empire where knowledge, science, and global natural comprehension of the world were the purpose of their lives. They gave chocolate to him, and that was definitely not something trivial, because chocolate was God's food in CERAOTTI'S imagination. We can now determine that with this surprising change of attitude, CERAOTTI'S civilization was at its peak. As a matter of fact, commercial relationships with their Norse neighbors were born. Finally, heaven won't last forever, and despite that they lived in harmony for the first time, hell was coming. Unfortunately, their fight spirit gone, other civilization, which was discreet, hidden, came to conquer CERAOTTI'S empire and took their wealth. Because of this man, CERAOTTI'S temperament disappeared. What they were disappeared, and logically, they were powerless in front of other civilizations which weren't peaceful. CERAOTTI'S civilization teach us this little lesson that nobody should forget. No matter who you are, you must never forget where you're from. Thank you for listening, and I hope I was clear.